Good morning, everyone. Let me check here. How are you guys today? I'm just checking here my computer because today I am in a different setting. So I'm just gonna give a few seconds here to see if everything is working. Let me see. So everything seems good. Okay, let me check. Okay. Okay. Morning, guys. Okay. Morning, Robertinha. Morning, Steven. Marina here. Nice to have you here, Marina. I'm trying to adapt still myself with this mouse here from Steven. Okay. Okay, Robertinha here. We have Steven with us. I'm using Steven's computer today, guys. So if I'm missing something tech here, I'm sorry, but I'm still getting used to this computer setting. Here we have Marina, we have Cristiane. It's Chris, sorry, it's Chris here. So, okay, guys, so good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are having a good time here. We don't have the best weather today, but let's enjoy our day still, you know. It's nice to have you guys here this morning with us again. And today we're going to be talking again about Spiritism. And today we're going to be talking about our thoughts. And we're going to give a brief explanation from the book Thought and Life from Emmanuel through Chico Xavier. And we're going to be trying to explain certain aspects of the ways that we think and try to understand the pattern of our thoughts. Okay? We have here with us today also our Ju, we have Linda. Linda, good morning, Linda. Good morning, Ju. Kaka here with us. So nice to have you guys here. We're gonna do our initial prayer, guys, because the slideshow might be a bit long. So let's start here. We have our Sasa here, Samantha, our great friend here also. Good morning, Samantha. Okay, guys, so in order to start, I'd like to invite everyone who feels comfortable to close our eyes, to take a deep breath. Let's try to calm down our minds. Try to forget about all the troubles that we may have outside. Trying to be here at this present moment. Only thinking about now. And let's be thankful for this now, for this moment that we have. And let's appreciate each second of our lives. Let's not forget that everything that we are dealing, all the troubles, all the difficult situations, all the challenges that each one of us carry and deal with every day are just ways, tools, which the spirituality uses in order to us to understand, to learn a bit more, to comprehend ourselves, and to be part of something bigger, to be part of this group of people who are willing to improve yourselves, who are willing to challenge their ways of thinking, at the same time trying to put in the everyday life the teachings of our Master Jesus of forgiveness, charity, and love. So let's be thankful for the Spiritist teachings which bring that to us. And let's be 100% thankful for all the friends that we have here, all the good people that we have here every Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and in our studies. Thank you for your presence here, guys. So be it. Let's start. We have here Neide, Neidoka. Good morning, Neidoka. And here, guys, let me add to the stream here. Okay. Okay, guys. So, as we said, we're gonna be talking here a little bit about our thoughts, trying to understand using Emmanuel and André Luiz how our thoughts, the mechanism of our thoughts, because sometimes we think that our thoughts is something which is just comes by chance on our brain or is just something related to the brain. And we're gonna see today that our thoughts, even if they use our brain as the main tool, as the main force to perceive it, our thoughts comes in fact from our spirit. So everything that we are comes from our spirit, our physical body and our brain. They are tools which we use in order to increase our potentialities, in order to increase our sense of the bigger picture, and we're going to try to understand here how these thoughts are so powerful, and so we can say that they are actually the main thing which makes our lives, which creates what our life is. And we're going to see that in the slides here. Let me see here. I'm sorry, guys, I'm not adapting here myself to this computer. Okay, oh God. Okay, I see here. Sorry, guys, I'm still, yes. Here in the book, I don't have the physical book, guys. Thought and Life, Pensamento e Vida. Emmanuel explains to us here that in the spiritual world, one day Chico Xavier asked Emmanuel, said, Emmanuel, can you give to us some kind of a little book or some short notes of how to deal with our thoughts? How you guys do that in the spiritual world? Can you try to bring this information to us? And Emmanuel, of course, understand that there is a huge distance between us spirits and us incarnated. He said, Chico, I'm going to psychograph through you a small book. And in this book, we're going to see the way that we spirits here, we are dealing with incarnations, and in this process of reincarnations, the process of between lives, and how important our thoughts are for that. And then he created this book in 1958, Thought and Life, or Pensamento e Vida. And here, in this book, we have the first message called Mirror of Life. And in this message, Emmanuel says to us, when we analyze our spiritual position, we find ourselves between animality and angelitude. We are forced to interpret it as being the field of our awakened conscious in the evolutionary range which our acquired knowledge allow us to operate. So Emmanuel is bringing to us here that we as a spirits, we as a beings, eternal beings, we are here. We can start from animality and could be on Earth or on a different planet, and our destiny is its angelitude. But there is a huge gap in between. There are many stages in between it, between animality and angelitude. And here, Emmanuel says to us that once we are closer to the animality, our conscious is still in the sleeping conscious stage, which Joana Janges explained to us through Divaldo Franco, explained that these stages are the stages where the being, the physical person, not the spiritual soul, but let's talk about the incarnated being, okay? Once we have the spirit and the material body. And that being, it's only in that kind of type of conscience where he just care about the basic instincts. But the more we evolve, we start to think a little bit more about art. We start to give more importance to our thoughts. We start to give more importance to certain things, to beauty, for example, that before in the stage of animality, we didn't give a damn about it. So we didn't care, basically. And here, Emmanuel says to us that once our consciousness starts to wake, we start to see beauty in everything. And everything here that all this evolutionary stage here will give to us more freedom to operate, more free will to operate in the stages that we are. And we're going to go through different stages. So our knowledge will allow us to operate better. Let me give an example. If you go back in time and you give to the caveman, let's say a book, a paper, okay, you go there, give this and give that to him and say, look, write to me, a poem, write to me some music, or draw something, what you see, like draw something beautiful. Not that drawing caves that they used to do it. That caveman is going to look at you and say, what is he saying? Because that caveman is only thinking about his essential needs in order to survive. But once that same spirit lives different lives, he starts to acquire more knowledge and give more importance to certain things. So he starts to appreciate and feel all the nuances of life, of art, of music and stuff like this. So his thought starts to develop. Why? Because his consciousness starts to open. And Emmanuel explains to us that all beings will go through this process. And we see that in the Spirit's book when Kardec talks about the evolutionary process of all beings in the universe. So what Emmanuel is trying to explain here to us that our thought is the mirror of our life. So everything starts here in our thoughts, in our brain, physically speaking, but in the spirit. Okay, so everything starts in the thought, he's saying to us. And once we go here, let's see. Yeah, he says to us here. Oops, let me see if I got. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'm a bit lost with this computer. It's too many screens to look at. Sorry, guys. Oops. Okay. Defining our thought as the reflection of our life, we recognize that our heart and emotions are the face, that our brain is the center of its flow, generating the force of thought that moves everything, creating, at the same time transforming, destroying, and remaking to refine and sublimate ourselves. Here we can remember Joana de Angelis when she says that the beings of this age that we are now, we are trying to sublimate ourselves. We are trying to learn about ourselves more than before. Jung and Freud always talked about this in the ego and the conscious, when beings, they are closer to ego, they are closer to their essential needs, as we spoke before. Once we are close into our unconscious, and once we start to see the whole picture, we are getting closer to who we are, in fact. I'm not going to be talking about Jung and Freud today, but let's try to use this idea that once, as we said, we are closing to our basic instincts, we are close to our ego, everything which satisfies us. So here, when Emmanuel says to us that our thoughts, they define our life, and it's like everything, our emotions, everything goes through our brain. So the brain is the main tool here, as it says, which creates and change everything, sublimate things, refine things. And our thoughts work like this in one life, but once we think about the bigger picture, as we think about spiritism, we think about the bigger picture. So in order for us to develop our thoughts, it's not possible with only one life. We need multiple lives, multiple existence, because in fact the life is just one. We need multiple existence in order to transform, to destroy. What do I mean by destroy, or Emmanuel trying to destroy our ways of thinking? Because let's put a man, for example, that before he used to think about creating machines to destroy things for war. For example, Leonardo da Vinci, although he was a great painter, he created many tools at his time for war I think he was trying to make the place that he was in Italy to fight against someone in the north. I don't remember exactly the name of the place, but he was creating tools for war. But later on, he starts, he used his thoughts, his energy also for art and many beautiful pieces of art. But later on, we discovered that he's Camille Flammarion, a French astronomer, who used all that intelligence in order to learn more about astronomy. So we had to destroy the ways that he taught before. What I mean by destroy is only to transforming his ways of thinking, because that's the spirit. Before we thought like this. After we live one life or two or three, doesn't matter how many times, how many lives depends on the spirit, we start to realize, hey, what I was doing wasn't really good. Let me change. So let me destroy the old self and let me rechange, let me transform myself now. So that's what we do with our thoughts throughout our incarnations. We transform, we destroy, we remake in order to sublimate ourselves, in order to elevate ourselves. And then Emmanuel explains that the power of our thoughts, it's so strong that for some people it can make the opposite depending on what we choose, and we're gonna see that further on, because sometimes some people they stay stagnated in one kind of thought, in one kind of pattern of thought for so many reincarnations. So they still think that they are what they were, like, I don't know, 2000 years ago. They still carrying that in their feeling that they are the same, even if they don't know what they were, but inside, in their unconscious. So Emmanuel is trying to say to us, that's why we're going to have to analyze and study our thoughts in order to try to change these patterns. And that's what we're going to be seeing here. Also, guys, I didn't see here. Hi, Leah. Good morning. Nice to have you here. Also, let me see my mouse. Leah is with us all the time. Thanks for being here with us today again. Yeah. So here. Emmanuel keeps going in this first master, Mirror of Life, when he says, in all domains of the universe, there is a reciprocal influence that vibrates. Everything moves and renews under the principles of interdependence and repercussion. So what he says to us that everything, all our thoughts, they emanate to the real world, to the material world, and to the spiritual world also, reaching the entire universe. And these thoughts that we have, they repercute to each other. So they kind of bounce to each other. They change, they get influenced by each other, and they influence also other thoughts. So André Luis here and Emmanuel, they are trying to explain to us that our thought has such a powerful reach, because like the spirits, they say in the spirits book that the fastest thing in the universe is not the speed of light, it's thoughts, because our thought can bring us to anywhere, of course, according to the evolution of the spirit. But let's say if you were a spirit who were very evolved, you could go from one, let's say if the universe had a reach, okay? Because according to science and astronomy, we believe that the universe has no limitations in terms of size. It keeps expanding. But let's say if there were a limit, you could go from point A to point B. So from the beginning until the end with with the speed of thought. Even the speed of light not possible. It's not possible of doing that because the universe is such a big place. So Emmanuel explains to us that everything that we have vibrates in the universe, and he keeps saying the reflection of thoughts outlines emotion. Emotivity shapes the idea determines the attitude, and the word that commands the actions. So what he's saying, basically what we said before. So once we are thinking about something, that thought generates an emotion inside of ourselves. Of course, everything works in the brain, yes, physically speaking, but everything works in the spirit, because we cannot say that the brain itself is like there are certain brains which are better than the others. Of course, once the spirit comes with a certain kind of mission, or in order to go through his existence, his brain can develop in a different way. Some people, they might say that Mozart and Chopin and I don't know, and Beethoven, they have a different kind of their parts of the brain here, of the front, of the back, I don't remember which one exactly, they were a bit more developed than the others. Why? Because the spirit itself, it's more developed in music, for example, or in art, so it needs a different kind of brain to adapt that kind of spirit. So it's not the brain which is special, it's the spirit who is more developed and need a different kind of brain, which in some parts will need to exert maybe this side, maybe the front or maybe the back. But everything starts in the spirit. That's why the reflection of thoughts outlines emotions. So once we think about something, we are just thinking about a simple thought here. But as we said, a thought, an emotion can generate a music, can generate a piece of art, but unfortunately also it can generate a tool to kill people. So, and then he says the emotivity shapes the idea. So we have the thought, the emotion that is inside our heart because of our evolution as a spirit. That emotion that we have will shape the idea. So the idea starts to become something more material. And the idea determines the attitude and the word command the actions. So we think, we have some emotion inside of ourselves, the emotion is generated, and that idea with the emotion will command the word or the action, the word, and the word will command our actions. So everything that we do starts in this process. Thoughts, the emotion that we have, and the attitude that we're going to be having with that, with the word, and then commanding our actions. So everything that we do goes in this process. That's why we have to understand that once we are thinking about something all the time, we have to be careful. Hey, why am I thinking about this all the time? And sometimes we don't realize that what we are thinking sometimes, let's say if it's something bad, throughout time, we're going to start to have an emotion about this. So let's say every time when I think about something, I start to have my heart beating a bit faster, or let's say I start to get anxious, or I start to lose my sleep, I start to have insomnia, or stuff like this. Then, once I have this emotion, which was created with my thoughts, I start to verbalize it. I start to say sometimes, we see people using all the time curses and saying bad words. I know we all do that once we are in, let's say, we are a bit out of our minds, once we are a bit angry, we always say these kind of words. It's okay. The problem is once you keep feeding these kind of thoughts, and once you keep feeding these emotions, you're going to be verbalizing this all the time. Then all these three, they will start to command your actions. So you become someone who perhaps can be a bit more violent. You start to be someone who loses your temper with people easier. You start to be someone who loses your sleep and start to become anxious. The same happens the opposite way. Once, let's say, your thoughts, they are good. Let's say you are thinking about doing a poem, or you are thinking about doing a project, or you are thinking about going to the gym or something like this. So then that ideas that you start to have, will start to create some emotions to you, some positive emotions in this case. That emotion with that idea will start to help you saying things, to living and to feeling things which are more material. And that words with your thoughts will command your actions to do what you wanted to do, that project, that poem, or that diet, whatever, guys, or to start doing a course. I'm just giving silly examples here. But you see, guys, everything has a process. It's not like I want to do that today and that's it. No, our mind works with our spirit in this process. And here, Emmanuel says something quite important to us, the will. Because he says to us, the human mind is compared with a large ox, subdivided into several sections. So Emmanuel, what he does, Emmanuel says, okay, our brain, he's giving just an example, okay? He's just using a metaphor here. It's divided. So let's say you have an office, let's say Google, and you have different departments on Google, okay? And he says to us, the department of desire, in which purpose and aspirations operate, encourage and stimulates the work. So the department of desire is the one which we have the idea, which is start to aspirate to do something good, and it starts to give stimulus to us to do that thing, to work. So everything starts in the department of desire. So everything starts with the will. And he says, the intelligence department that expands the heritage of evolution and culture. So once we have also this department of intelligence, because our intelligence is like this. Once we start to live different lives, once we start to have experiences, our evolution regarding to culture and regarding to things that know about knowledge starts to expand. Then we start to know, we start to want to better things to us. We are not happy anymore with the drawing in the wall in the cave. We want to create something different. We start to want to perhaps to paint Mona Lisa, or to paint the beautiful works of Raphael and all the great painters throughout history. So everything starts in this intelligence department, where all the cultural aspects that we have acquired throughout reincarnations are there, inside of our spirit. And then we start to expand this in order to deal more with culture in general. And then he says here, the imagination department that collects the treasures of idealism and sensibility. So we have this department, of the imagination, which is very related to the cultural department, Emmanuel says to us, because then we start to idealize. We start to have ideas, and we start to be more sensible. As we said, we're not happy anymore of the draw in the caves, but our sensibility wants us to do something more. We are not happy of doing music like this, just doing that with our palms, with slaps. We want to use perhaps a more complex, how you call we start to want to use a more complex harmonical tools. I don't know. We start to want something better for music. We don't want just noises. That's what I'm trying to say. We start to generate scales in music. We start to create some pieces of music that we have nowadays from Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, and all these ones. We start to, have this, and everything starts with the idea, with the sensibility. And then the department of memory, feeling this summarize, the department of memory, feeling the summaries of the experience and others, is still that define the investments of the soul. So the memory that we have keeps our existence. So when I was there doing my draw in the cave, I kept that knowledge, and that knowledge came with me throughout reincarnations. Then, in that time which I spent, that will, that desire which I gave to draw in that wall, in the cave, I will bring that with me. So then the next life, I start to draw something a bit nicer. Then I start to draw something nicer and nicer and nicer, until I become a great painter, perhaps, or until I transfer this knowledge which I have related to painting, for example, to some other part of art. And that works with everything. We are talking about art here, but that could be about knowledge. Let's say once you were in the cave, you used to take 3 pieces of charcoal and put them on the side, and put in again another 3 pieces of charcoal on one side, and you start to make this accounting in your mind, trying to do this 3 plus 3. Then throughout reincarnation, you became a mathematician. Now you created some systems on a computer. So all this kind of knowledge is related to numbers, for example. These knowledges and all the kind of knowledges, they are there. So everything that we learn, it's hidden inside ourselves. And once it's ready for us to use, the spirituality will help us in order to go there and access this information. But everything is kept in our spirit. And above all of them, however, comes the office of the will. The will is the enlightened and vigilant manager, governing all sectors of the mental action. So let's say we are living several lives, we are acquiring knowledge, but if our will is not really well developed, we start to use this knowledge to do some harm to the others. But once we start to use our will wisely, what we start to do, we start to create good things for us and for the others. And that's what Emmanuel is trying to say to us here, that the will, once the will is well managed, it governs everything in our mental department, in our spirit, in our thoughts. But once we are managing it badly, it will generate, instead of good things, will generate chaos. We see people with so much knowledge, instead of doing good, they can be like exceptional mathematicians, or they are formidable artists, but instead of creating something good, they create something bad. They create their knowledge to kill people. We saw that in the wars, in the first and the second, for example, when we have so many tools which were created in order to kill people. So the knowledge which they have, the will which they have there, which was acquired throughout reincarnations, all that knowledge wasn't managed properly. So in that case, the office of the will, we can put it this way, the free will that he acquired, instead of doing good, was doing harm. But of course, we're gonna have the law of action and reaction here. But that spirit, he managed all that he gained throughout his lives in a not really good way. So once we are doing this, we are creating more chaos to ourselves and to the ones surrounding us. But our thoughts, they are freely to do whatever they want once we manage them. Once we put our free will to do this, God will not stop us, because that's why it's called free will. Once we have this, it's up to us what we're going to be doing. But we have to bear in mind that better we use this, good for us. If we use that badly, it's gonna be generating karma to us, or that's in the law of action and reaction, or law of action and reaction. And here, Einstein said that to us. Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy, this is physics. So once we are saying about free will here, about thoughts, about previous lives, about the way that we control our actions, the way that we manage this, we are giving names here, which Einstein is just calling frequency. That's the beauty of spiritism. And once we are working, once you are trying to see science in a broader way, you start to see that many things that spiritism said before, science is saying now. Of course, Einstein, maybe he is from 1920 something, so let's say 100 years ago, Einstein was giving this statement perhaps. But even before that, the Spirit's book was saying that before. That everything is frequency. Once your frequency is here, there is no way of you being here, because it's a radio. Once you tune your radio, let's say, to something good, to art, for example, you're not going to be able to reach badness or anything which, not that art that is good and bad. What I'm trying to say is, once you reach your radio to something good, you're not going to get something bad if you really are vigilant. That's why we use this word, vigilant. That's why Jesus said before, watch and pray. Jesus said that before, because Jesus knew that our thoughts, the frequency that we are, if we don't really pay attention to it, our radio will tune us to a bad vibration. Will tune us to a vibration that won't bring anything good to us and to the others. That's why Einstein said here, once we match this frequency, you cannot do anything. You're gonna get what you're matching. So once you are in that level, no way, that you're gonna be able to run away from that. Of course, once you are aware that you are putting your vibration in a really, we can put in not such a good vibrational level, we have our tool, which is called prayer, which help us to say, hey, what am I doing? Why am I thinking this? Okay, let me do my prayer. Let me watch, like Jesus said. Once we do this, then we can start to we are not changing our vibration like from 0 to 10. We are going gradually. We are changing our radio tune in order to get to that vibration. So it's not because you are here now that you're not able to go on that. But some people, Einstein is talking much more about people here, that they are not aware of the power of their thoughts. They are not aware of the power which their thinkings and their emotions can carry, inside themselves and the exterior. That's what Einstein says here, and that's physics. So our thoughts will match other thoughts which are similar or they are the same. And we're gonna see here, guys, in this book here, Action and Reaction, Chapter 9, Preparations for the Return to Corporeal Life. André Luiz, the spirit who psychographed Astral City or No Solar. André Luiz, one day, he went to we call umbral or the lower zones. Once he went there, he saw a obsessor, or we can say an spirit who is still in the lower vibrations of his existence, a spirit who is still using his free will to choose bad things and not really using his free will to improve and to help the others. We call these obsessors, but this word itself needs another 1 hour to explain. But so once he went to these lower zones, André Luiz saw an obsessor, and that obsessor, there was a school of the Avengers, Escola de Vingadores. I hope the translation is correct, but that's the translation that we have in the book. And in this school of Avengers, there are schools where spirits who have a lot of knowledge, they are not simple spirits anymore. They are spirits who pass through several incarnations, but there are spirits who are still choosing, we can put the wrong way, or we can put they are still choosing the force which will not help anyone, the dark force, as they say in the Star Wars. They are still using their free will to choose things which will help the others and themselves. And these spirits, they are not stupid, as some people they think. He's an obsessor, he doesn't know anything. No. André Luiz explains to us that there are obsessors in the lower zones who are much more clever than many spirits. Clever, I'm not talking about morally speaking, but here in their knowledge. And that spirits, they are not silly in the way which they do their obsessions, which they do their connections with the incarnates. And he comes to André Luiz and asks, how come can you do this? Because I don't know, I was in somewhere else, but André Luiz is trying to fool this spirit, guys, by the way, because André Luiz does not say who he is. He kind of tries to impersonate someone else. He's trying to say that he's an obsessor also, in order to that obsessor to talk to him. And he starts to ask, how do you do that, my friend? How can you obsess someone? Can you explain to me how does the obsession process starts? And we have this much more in the Medium's book, but here he gives a brief explanation about how in this school of Avengers they do this process. And he says, we all have, in addition to the common desires at any stage of life, a central desire. Keep this in mind, a central desire or basic theme of the intimate interests. Well, so what he's saying to us, that all of us, we have something in this life here in our spirit, which is the strongest point, or we can say the Achilles heel. So we all have this weak point on us, weak spot on our spirit, and that is different to each one of us. We can say, to me, for example, let's say, just giving a silly example, that in my case could be that I like too much food. In Samantha's case, it could be that Samantha likes whatever, to work too much, or Nate that she likes to sleep too much. So we all have some central desire. We are giving silly examples here, but we can go much deeper on that. Some people, they have a really bad desires, we can put it this way. Some people have this central desire for killing, for hurting the others, for taking advantage of the others. So, but all of us, we have this central desire. And he keeps saying, therefore, in addition to the vulgar thoughts that imprison us in our routine experience, we have thoughts that are born of the central desire that characterize us, thoughts that become dominate reflex of our personality. So he's saying to us, he's not talking about the simple thoughts that we have. He's not talking about, let's say, if I'm driving my car here, someone comes over me and I get annoyed and I say something bad to that guy. He's not saying about something which doesn't really happens in my everyday life all the time. Because we all have stages where we go there in our routine, where we experience some difficult, where we may express ourselves poorly. But he says, no, these thoughts, we all have these kind of thoughts. We all are a bit lazy sometimes. We all want to eat something extra sometimes. That's not what I'm talking about here. He's talking about something deeper much deeper, which is a reflex of our personality. And he says, in this way, it's easy to know the nature of any person in any plan through the occupations and the positions in which you prefer to live. So this spirit is saying to us that in the incarnated world, in the spiritual world, sorry, in the discarnate world and the or spiritual world, or here, in the incarnated world where we have our physical body, where we live, it's very easy for these spirits to know who we are and how through our thought. And he's going to say that to us. Thus, cruelty is the reflection of the criminal. Greed is the reflection of the user. Defamation is the reflection of the defamer, as the elevation moral is the reflection of the saint, or to the one who keeps trying to improve yourself daily. So he says to us that if you're someone who all the time is greed, if you're someone who wants everything for you, it's for me, it's for me, it's for me, I want more, I want more, I want more. The spirit know that may be your central desire, because all the time you are thinking about greed. You are thinking about material things, to have everything for you. If you are someone who always tries to take advantage of the others, who are always trying to find a way to break the law, for example, maybe your central desire is more related to criminality, where you want to be the smartest one, and try to create some troubles to the others, just in order to please yourself. Or if you are someone who is always talking about, someone badly, always are there doing your gossiping, the spirit knows that may be your weak point. And how does he know? Because he's reading our thoughts. He's like, if he's looking at us, and once he's looking at us, he knows, that's the weakest spot of Wanderley. That Wanderley is Achilles heel. But why? How do I know? Because Wanderley thinks about this all day. He does his work, he goes to the gym, he does his studies, whatever. But most of the time, he's thinking about this. He's thinking about chocolate cake. You know what I mean, guys? So we all of us, we are thinking, as he says here in the end, someone who has this moral elevation started already, someone who started this process already, it's always also thinking about that person is always thinking about doing something good. That moral elevation, kind of expands from the perispirit. So the spirit can see, that spirit has this moral elevation already. Why? Because his actions are working through this, and his thoughts are working through this also. That's why we have to understand like this. The spirits, they know everything that we do, like Kardec said in the Spirits book, that the spirits, they know ourselves. They see, like the Apostle Paul says before in one of his letters, that we live in an ocean of spirits. So spirits are everywhere. And these spirits, they can see what we do. Why? Because of what we think. So this frequency that we create, it's kind of like this. It's just like inhalating. It's like if you are eating garlic, you're gonna be leaving the smell of garlic. Sorry for the silly example. So once you are thinking about something all the time, the spirit will know why, because you are just throwing that. You are, that comes from your perispirit. That's why we have to really be careful in what we are doing and what we are thinking all the time. And then he says here, that's my, sorry guys, this slide here. We have to understand one thing, guys. Once we are thinking about websites like Google and things like this, search engineers, or once we know a little bit how social media works, we know that everything that we type in the computer, in the engine search, once we start to type this, the system will know, Wanderley likes sports. So all the time, the Google or Facebook or any kind of search engineer will give that to me. The spirit is the same. The spiritual world is the same. If you're only thinking about something, that frequency is the one that you're going to be matching. And then someone says to me, Wanderley, I have an obsessor because I did something bad in my previous life. Maybe, yes, that could be the case. But what we have to understand is this, that sometimes you don't have an obsessor who lived with you before, but maybe you have an obsessor related, to, for example, to sexuality. Maybe you're someone who thinks about sex all the time. So then the kind of spirits that you're going to be carrying is this kind of spirits. Or if you are someone who always thinks about work, you are an alcoholic, or if you are someone who wants to be the boss all the time, you have this possession kind of feelings, you're going to be carrying these spirits. So then I ask something to you guys. If Google knows what we think, if the search engineers and engineer systems knows what we think, what do they know? Because of the things that we see on the web, because for the things that we search, the spirits, they are the same. But the spirits, they need only one thing, our thoughts. Only one thing, our thought. And that's it, what they need. And that's why here, here I did this, because once all these vices that we carry in our spirits, all these feelings, these sentiments, they come from pride and selfishness. That's why the spirits, they said pride and selfishness are the greatest, the worst things to humanity, because from there, from pride and selfishness, everything is generated. So once we have our mind connected with these two, we're gonna be having some people, they're gonna be having issues with pleasure, disdain, sexuality, laziness, guilt. Some other ones, they're gonna have more thoughts or personality related to possession, shame, materialism, avarice, attachment to material things in general, you know. While other people, they're gonna have too much attachment to power, discouragement, superiority, violence, and arrogance. So here, guys, I just left this because everything will come from these two main feelings, pride and selfishness. And that's where the obsessors, the spirits, they work on us, because they know it starts from here, but because he's directing his energy to this side here, he's gonna be generating this kind of feelings, this kind of thoughts. Why? Because there is no chance that you have pride on your side yourself, inside of yourself, that then you start to have violence thoughts about violence, that in the end of the day, you're gonna be someone who, let's say, who is elevated morally, as we said before, because all the time you are thinking about this. So you're connecting this, you are getting this frequencies. So there is no way that you're not going to be getting something different. That's why Einstein said also, the craziest thing is to be doing and thinking about the same thing all the time, expecting different results. So once we don't work in our thoughts, once we don't work in the main point, in the main aspect of our personality, we're not going to be able to go and fight against the pride and selfishness that we have, which generates everything, which makes us slaves. Slaves of who? Of what? Of ourselves. Because once we are in this stage, as we said at the beginning of the speech, we are still with our conscious very tight. We are not opening our conscious. So once you are at this stage, we're going to keep reincarnating, suffering, expiating, until we start to change. To change what, Wanderley? Our thoughts. Because everything starts in the thoughts. And that's why here, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. What we think, we become. Buddha said that also, guys, just to confirm what we are saying here regarding to spiritism. And Shakespeare, again, he says here to us, there is nothing either good or bad, but think makes it so. So there is no good or bad. Depends how we are thinking, you know. So we can say that violence is something bad because violence hurts the other. But if you use the same energy that we apply in violence, the same strength that you apply to, let's say, to hit someone with your hands, the same strength that you apply there, you can apply in order to take someone from the street who had fall off. You can apply that same strength that you have to help someone to carry their luggage or whatever. What are we trying to say, guys? As like Shakespeare said here, nothing is good or bad. Depends how you use it, how we use our potentialities. But everything that we do, Once we think they are good or bad, they will become, because we're going to be matching this frequency. So we will become what we think. And that's why Stephen said the other day something quite nice. Some of us, we have seen that in cartoons before, where we have the little devil here and the little angel here. And the little devil saying bad things to us, and the little angel is saying good things to us. And that's in Tom and Jerry cartoon, something which I think is from the 70s. I'm not sure when Tom and Jerry was created, to be honest. But we see that in cartoons, I believe. And the person says, okay, who am I going to be following? You know? And as we have in an old saying, which says, I think it's a Buddhist saying or an Indian saying, which talks about the same idea. I have two wolves, one good and one bad. Which one should I feed? Which one should I hear? The one that you feed the most, the master said. So who are we going to be listening more? Our good or our bad angel? Depends on us. Depends on what we choose. And how to choose better? Having conscious of our thoughts. Being aware of who we are. Because everything that we are is first what we thought. That's why thoughts have this powerful. That's why thoughts are so powerful. And we have this here in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in the chapter 6, in the law of love. The spirits, they say to us, loving one neighbors as loving as oneself. Love is the highest sentiment. Instincts are raised to the height of the degree of the progress accomplished. At their origin, you must have only instincts. More advanced, corrupted, they have only sensations. More educated and purified, they have sentiments. And that's what we said in the beginning. Once we live, once we start to be aware of what we are thinking, once we start to exercise better our free will, once we start to using this machine, which is our spirit, you know, which has all these potentialities, instead of only having instincts, we start to develop our sentiments, our feelings. Once we start to develop more our feelings in our moral education, we start to purify ourselves, and then we start to have feelings, sentiments. That's why before, when Jesus said to us, loving one's neighbors as you love yourself, he is not really like to say, or love your enemies. He's not saying go to your enemies and kiss him, hug him. Jesus knew that was difficult to us in the stage that we are. But what he was trying to say, change the way that you see your neighbor. Change the way that you see your enemy. Because once you change the way that you see him, you will start to understand that he's like you. He's just someone who wants to improve, who wants to be happy. He's just someone who fails a lot. He's just someone who perhaps took bad decisions in his life, and now he's trying to improve. And once we start to have empathy to our friends, to our neighbors, to our enemies, to the ones that we have some difficulties to deal with or we don't agree at all, we start to educate our heart and our thoughts. Then, with some more time, these sensations may become something which to us, even if everyone says, oh, I love you, love is blah, 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 blah. Guys, love is something that most of humanity cannot feel yet in its spirit. What we feel some parts of love. We feel some kind of, it's like this. It's like if you say to me, Wanderley, what is water? And then I get there, a drop of water, and throw on my skin. That's water for me. That's the sensation which I have with water. I feel the water is touching my skin. It may create some memories and feelings. Once you are deep in the sea swimming, it's a different feeling. It's still water around you, but your perception have opened. So you're going to feel water in a different way. That's the same for love. Once we educate ourselves, our perception, we're going to start to perceive love in a much broader sense. And that's the beauty of it. And talking about love, guys, uh, so that's the idea which I'm trying to say here, guys, today. We have to pay attention to our thoughts. Once we educate our thoughts, we choose better, we live better, and then we start to perhaps, oops, sorry, we will start to perhaps, yeah, so, oh, sorry, guys. So we will start to perhaps to become better beings who are more able and more capable of dealing with our sensations of daily life, who are able to deal with differences between ourselves and the others. And that needs time. But some people, they come to us, especially here in the spirit movement, and say, Wanderley, I want to be like a Chico Xavier. I want to help the others. I want to go around the world and help people in Africa. What do you think? First, I don't think anything. Well, anyone can do whatever they want. But sometimes, because we see other ones doing, we try to imitate. But we are not really analyzing who we are and why we want to do this. Once you know yourself a bit more, we start to say, hey, I want to do this, but maybe I don't have the capability of doing that yet. Maybe I want to do this, but maybe it's not the time for me to doing this, to move into this place or to the other, you know? So we need to be aware of who we are and what we think in order to choose better. And once we are dominating it, then we're going to start to feel love. And love in which way? In the way that we are able to do it, because we are not going to perceive love as pure spirit yet. We will one day, but not yet. So guys, this thought here today is about thought, but I have to explain a little bit more how it works with the help of Emmanuel and Andrea Luis, and with the help of the Spirit's book and Gospel According to Spiritism also. If you guys have any questions, feel free. I'm gonna be bringing someone here, guys. Just 1 second here. She will come here right now. We have here, guys, two special guests, guys, with us today, and they're gonna be helping us here. So if you guys don't have any questions, guys, just to we're gonna do a few reminders. Come here, dear. We have a few reminders here. Okay, so like open here. Okay, guys. So if you guys want to join our studies, guys, you guys can send a message to us at the Spiritism Island at gmail.com. And then you got Mage or Tanya will send you the Zoom link where you guys can participate with our Spirits book study. And also, for those who doesn't know, we are recording the Spirits book in videos. We are trying to launch a video at least every 10 days. So you guys can go to our YouTube channel, Spiritism Island, Spiritism Society of Ireland. You guys can type that on YouTube. And there, you guys can see our videos and our speeches there. And for those who asked us on Facebook before, unfortunately, we don't have a time yet to give when we're going to be open, presentially. So we're still going to be doing everything through Facebook and YouTube. And let's see here. Okay. Thanks, Steven. Thanks, Kaka. And we have here these two ladies here who's going to be doing our final prayer. Who is going to be doing the final prayer?
That's me. Can we sing?
You can sing, yeah?
I know one.
Okay, but we're going to be singing something for our prayer, yeah? So, Leah, come here. Let your teteia sing.
Like, can I choose any music?
You can choose some nice music. Guys, thanks for your time today. And we're going to have some singing right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Look me in the eyes. Tell me what you see. Perfect paradise. Turn up a sea. I wish I couldn't stay, but I don't wanna waste it. Wish I couldn't arrange it, make it I believe that I'm not.
See, guys?
Good.
Thank you very much, guys. But let's do a final prayer now.
Yeah.
You wanna do a final prayer, Teteia?
I don't want to do final prayer.
Okay, let's close our eyes. Teteia will do our final prayer now, guys. Go.
Me?
Yeah.
God, thank you for this day that we can be all together in this place, and amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, guys.
What about you?
Leah, do you want to do a final prayer? Do you want to say something?
No.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely Sunday. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Finger crossed. Fingers.
Oops. What did